Talk a little bit. I know you're not a big proponent of REITs, but talk a little bit about how REITs serve a real estate investor.
Yeah, so a REIT is a real estate investment trust. It's basically a Wall Street style way to invest in real estate. I'm not like any big fan of it because, again, you're violating commandment number 3, right? You're relinquishing control to somebody else. But it is a way to get into real estate with a small amount of money. Just like you can buy a small amount of stock, you can buy a small piece of a REIT. But there are other things you can do. You can start out if you want to really control things. I mean, one way a lot of people start in real estate is they do wholesaling, right? So they find a property that's a good deal, and then they basically sell the contract rather than the house. They don't buy the house because they don't have the money. They find a house that's a good deal. They tie it up on a contract with a seller, and then they sell that contract to another buyer. And that's a way that, without really any capital, you can start and do that. Now, it is a lot of work because you've got to find the deal, which is difficult. Okay. So you either have capital or you have your labor, right? And you're going to have to invest one or the other. You're going to have to invest your time and your effort, or you're going to have to invest your money. Nothing is
initially, if you invest your time and labor, you learn a lot. So it's really a good thing to start off by rolling up your sleeves and getting into it.
Couldn't agree more. Sharon, when people are a direct investor, they're running things. They're in control. Okay. And there are a lot of benefits to that. But also, you got to pay attention. You've got to do more. You have to pay attention to everything. Like, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a passive investment. It doesn't exist. Not even a bank account. Not precious metals. Nothing is passive, really. There's a spectrum of how much effort or how little effort. Like, for example, in addition to offering properties through Empowered Investor, we also offer notes. People can buy notes, okay? And I didn't really talk about that today, but, if they want to do something really simple, they've got some capital, they want to earn like 10, 12% on their money, they can do that pretty safely, investing in notes with high equity. We offer those too. And they're short-term notes because remember, I said, being the lender, inflation hurts you. Being the borrower, inflation helps you. Now, I'm a hard money lender, right? So being a lender isn't always bad. It's only bad if it's long term. So these are short-term notes. So you're not going to have any real inflation risk because you're going to get paid back in a year or less. Okay, so they're short-term hard money notes, a lot of them on commercial properties with lots of equity. So the risk is relatively low, but there's risk in everything.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to invest in real estate, and the wholesaling is one way. Talk a little bit about the importance of understanding, and this is for not just the U.S. market, everywhere around the world, the importance of understanding landlord laws when you're looking at investing in a particular community.
Great question. Great thing. So there are certain markets that are tenant friendly and certain markets that are landlord friendly. And we like to invest in landlord-friendly markets. So any state that is liberal or any county that's liberal is not going to be landlord-friendly. So the Socialist Republic of California, for example, my home state, I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole. Things might even look good on paper, which they rarely do in an expensive market, but say you get a deal that they do look pretty good, right? What you don't know is that if you put a tenant in that property, you may be stuck with them not paying rent for a long time until you go through the court system. Now, other markets that are the linear markets where they're much more landlord friendly, they just look at the letter of the law, right? You don't pay the rent, you're out. We're going to evict you. Okay, you got to move. And the landlords just have much better rights. We want to invest in markets that are friendly to our cause as landlords.
I think we also should probably address fix and flips because a lot of people think that's the way to get in real estate investing. It's really a business, and the tax, you don't get the tax advantages from a buy and hold property, and you definitely have to do a lot more work. And a lot of people that were doing fix and flips are the ones who got caught in 2007, 2008, right? So I want to address that a little bit.
Yeah, wholesaling that we talked about before, that is a business more than an investment, right? You have to spend a lot of time and be very involved, right? What we do is we help people invest. We don't try to help them set up a business of, quit your job, quit your business and go into our business, right? We just help them get investments that don't take too much time or effort, right? But wholesaling, that's a business. Fixing and flipping, Sharon, just like you mentioned, that is a business more than an investment. Okay. Now, that business happens to have some real estate characteristics that we talked about and like, but it's a business. You're dealing with contractors, they break their promises. A lot of times you have to take them to court. They break their promises so badly sometimes. And it's just a really, it's a hard business. But every business usually gets easier as you scale it up and make it bigger. In the old days, there were a lot of fix and flippers who were just like, one person running the whole thing, right? They'd find a house that needs work. They'd hire a bunch of contractors to do the work. Maybe they do some of the work themselves. And you could do that. But the market has become much more advanced and sophisticated over the years to where now really it's hard to play that game unless you have a real business, like your own construction crew, your own people that you are spending a lot of money with that really care about your business, right? If you're just a one-off customer, these contractors, they just go to the better deal. They're just, someone else pays them more, offers them a bigger job, they're just gone. Like they'll just quit in the middle of your job. So it's really tough. Like dealing with contractors is very difficult.
Yeah. It absolutely is. It's definitely, but it's also very important. And I know that this is some of the services you offer, but it's really important as a real estate investor to have the right team around you and pay attention to who you're listening to, because there's a lot of people out there that are teaching courses and doing things on real estate that they don't walk the talk. So you want somebody that's really in the market to understand what's happening, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sharon. Many people out there who are just in the information business that, sell courses and coaching and stuff like that, but they don't actually do it, or they don't actually sell properties. Like my company sells actual properties. So we're sticking with you through the whole thing. Like we're not charging you for a $50,000 program and sending you on your way, right? We have the actual deals, right? That's kind of harder. That's a lot harder to do that and produce the actual properties people can buy and then help them with it basically for life.